Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're... Oh, sorry. I'm just excited. Today we're going to be talking about a massive developer update coming that Behavior just announced, and it's one of the biggest developer updates we've ever had. Probably the biggest since the last huge meta shakeup. They're changing gen defense perks. They're changing For the People Buckle Up. They're making multiple changes to multiple different killers, including my boy. Changing toolboxes a bit, and yeah, I just wanted to talk about it and give my thoughts because a lot of wild stuff in here. So, kicking things off, we have some Chucky changes. They're actually buffing and nerfing him a little bit. They're buffing the Heidi Ho by decreasing the cooldown to 12 seconds, which was 18. So you're going to be able to use Heidi Ho a bit more than you were. However, a big nerf, big change is you are no longer going to be able to scamper on its own. Like, you can't just slide under pallets and then Heidi Ho. You can only scamper while performing slice and dice. So you do the charge, you do the big sprint. That's the only time you can scamper. So, a lot of times Chuckies would scamper under a pallet and then charge after you. That is no longer a thing. So that's a pretty big nerf, but they did decrease the time it takes to scamper to 1.3 from 1.4. So that's a slight buff. So yeah, I don't know how you're feeling about that, Chucky mains. I think it's okay. He definitely could feel a bit oppressive in chase. When he would scamper under pallets and whatnot, and then just use the slice and dice. So maybe this will be good. Plus, you can use Heidi Ho more often now. So, anyways, my boy Bubba getting a buff. It's literally all buffs. They didn't nerf anything. They increased the sweep duration. They increased the movement speed base. They decreased the collision in tight spaces, so you're not going to be bonking as much. I love this so much. They decreased the tantrum duration by 2 seconds. That's actually a really big change, and now survivors are also going to have to relearn the locker timing. Maybe they won't. Maybe they just pay attention to where his chainsaw is, but decreasing the tantrum duration is awesome. And then they just said they're going to change add-ons accordingly, but there's not any nerfs in here. It's just all buffs. It's just all buffs for my boy. And as you can see, I'm just, yeah, feels good. Feels good. All right. Deathslinger. They're decreasing the stun time from when the survivor breaks free. They're increasing the real speed, and they're increasing movement speed when Deathslinger's reloading. So yeah, all three buffs there. Deathslinger mains, I'm sure you're going to be happy. I personally really enjoy playing Deathslinger. I think he might be my favorite ranged killer, or one of them. So I'm excited for this. And then we have the Mastermind, who is getting nerfed a bit. So they're decreasing the hindered penalty from infection. They're cutting it in half. So when you would get full infected from Wesker, you would get an 8% hindered penalty, which obviously, if you guys know, it slowed you down quite a bit in chase. And they're cutting that in half. So the hindered's only 4%. It's a pretty sizable nerf. And then, so when you would get hooked and then get unhooked, I think your infection would be at 50%. So you'd have to go quickly find a spray bottle and whatnot. Now they reduced it to 1%. So you basically just restart as if you just got infected. So 2 nerfs there. I don't really care too much about this. Really, I don't play Wesker that often. I feel like he's still going to be fairly strong. We'll probably still see him every 2 or 3 matches like we have for the past however many months now. Blight got nerfed. Well, a couple add-ons got nerfed. They just decreased the turn rate for this one and decreased the speed for this one. But the percentages got cut pretty bad. So sorry, Blight mains, if that hurts you. But yeah, if you use these add-ons a lot as Blight, getting nerfed. Toolboxes. Now this, I think this might change the meta more than the perk changes. We're going to talk about it in this because this is just me thinking, on the spot. I could be wrong, but they're increasing toolbox sabotage speed add-ons across most variants. And they're also increasing the effects of other sabotage related add-ons. So if we scroll up here, it says that, this add-on is going to make the sabotaged hooks stay sabotaged longer. And, they're increasing the speed at which you can sabotage. Now, personally, I think when you use these add-ons, you already sabo pretty quick. Like if a killer hits you, you can Sabo that hook and like run away usually before the killer even recovers. Sometimes you still down them, but they always get the Sabo in the time that you're recovering from that hit. So it's going to be even faster now. So I don't know how fast it's going to be, but I feel like, dude, the Sabo meta is coming. If this goes through, like, people are going to be Saboing hooks like crazy. Medal of Man might even make its way back into the meta. I don't know, but this is actually pretty wild. This is going to mark my words. We're about to see a lot of Sabo squads, I feel like, if this makes it through. And that could be fun. I don't know. I'm not saying I hate it. I'm not saying I love it. And I just think it's going to shake things up. Now, moving on to the perks. We have Deadlock. Hitting this gen defense. Blocking duration is decreased by 5 seconds. So, I mean, not a huge nerf, but a nerf nonetheless. So, usually it's 30 seconds down to 25. This already was nerfed too recently, I think. Because didn't it used to be like 45 seconds or something? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be thinking of Deadman Switch. But yeah, Deadlock's getting a nerf. Background player. I know a lot of killer mains are going to be happy about this. It's not even really getting that harshly nerfed though. The speed boost, or the movement speed, is being reduced to 150% from 200%. So you're still going to get a speed boost. It's like sprint burst now, right? So, but they also buffed it at the same time. So now the exhausted duration is cut in half. So you get to use it twice as often, but you're just a little less fast. So I think people are still going to use this. I think it's still going to be good. It's not going to be quite as insane because you're not getting 200%, but I don't know. You get to use it more often. So we'll see how that goes. Grim Embrace, more gen defense. Kicking the curb here. Decrease the block duration for this as well, but only by 2 seconds. So I really not that bad. I mean, these seem like, I mean, they say minor changes, but it seems pretty minor. Was 12 seconds, now it's 10. Really not that big of a deal, personally. Decisive Strike. This really surprised me, personally. And I'm sure like a lot of killers are going to be happy about this. I don't agree with this. They're nerfing it to 4 seconds. It was 3. They buffed it to 5. Now they're putting it right in the middle. I don't think 5 seconds was too much, personally. I mean, I don't know. If they're going to nerf it to 4 seconds, I think that, and please don't roast me too hard for this, it's just an opinion, but I think that you should get it off of every hook, just like off the record. That's what I think. Because if you use DS once for a 4-second stun, then the killer knows you don't have it anymore, and they can just tunnel you off your second hook, and they're like, I know you don't have DS anymore, now you're just dead. I don't know. I think 5 seconds was fine. I didn't think this was necessary. I know a lot of killer mains probably disagree, but whatever. Moving on, more gen defense nerfed. This is actually a bigger nerf than Deadlock and Grim Embrace. This is getting reduced to 20% from 30%. So a 10% reduction. So every time you kick a gen, I actually don't think this is that bad, considering you can use pop all match. Like when you have a killer that's getting hooks consistently and it's just 30%, 30%, 30% over and over, like that shit does suck, especially solo queue if you have your teammates going down a lot and your gen just keeps getting just railed. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty big nerf, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's fine. I agree with this. Make matches less boring. Sorry if you disagree, killer mains. I'm sorry. Buckle up. Here you go. Here's a win for killers though. Buckle up's getting nerfed, so that for the people buckle up, though, those toxic survivors that are, you know, jumping in your face, they're no longer getting the endurance status effect when they get picked up. So or nobody gets the endurance status effect at all, actually. So when they go pick somebody up, you can just down them immediately again, or down the person who used buckle up. Now all it does is give the person that was in the dying state a 150% movement speed for 5 seconds. So basically it just helps the person that you got up off the ground. The person who used buckle up does not get that. Just the people who were healed. So if the person, you know, it's kind of sort of an anti-tunnel perk, but for your teammate to use. So like if you're getting tunneled and you get downed, your teammate could use this. You could sprint burst away for 5 seconds, and then the killer, you know, would probably rather go for the person that's right in front of them, injured or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. This is fine. I'm sure people are happy about this because there's no more For the People Buckle Up. If there's anything I've seen people who play Killer complaining about over the past few months, it's been For the People Buckle Up. So W for you guys. Happy for you. Pain res, more gen defense, kicking the curb. This is another kind of minor one. They're just reducing it to 20% instead of a 25% reduction. I don't hate this. Pain res is pretty oppressive, and like they mentioned, it is one of the most used killer perks like ever right now. I use it in most of my builds. I'll admit it's probably the best gen defense perk there is. So I don't mind this. I know as Survivor, it's pretty oppressive, especially when they're stacking pain res with a bunch of other gen defense. This shit can just rock your world and make you roll your eyes. So I don't hate it. I'm fine with it. 5% is not the end of the world. I think 20% is still fine, especially if you're stacking your gen defense. Now, Invocation, the perk that everybody has said is garbage, takes too long. It's the perk where you do a ritual in the basement and then there's 20 charges taken off of a gen. It's like a brand new part on every gen. So they're basically cutting the time requirement in half. I think they realized that nobody wanted to sit in the basement for 2 minutes doing this shit. So they made it 1 minute, and then they just reduced the charge to 1 instead of 20. So we might see this more often because the time requirement is far less. And as far as perks, that's it. The only map change we're going to see in this update is a Borgo update. The Shattered Square is getting a lighting rework. The orangest map in any video game ever is finally becoming not overwhelmingly orange. I actually like the way this looks. However, I am just going to say, can we just leave every map alone until we rework the swamp? I'm going to say this every time. Every time Behavior touches all these new maps and reworks all these new maps and shit, but they still won't touch the damn swamp. Why? I don't understand. But I will say, this does look better. I actually really prefer the way that this looks in the picture. It's going to completely change how the map feels, I feel like. And it's probably just going to be more pleasant to play on in general. So happy with this, but at the same time, fucking just rework the swamp. And the very last thing in this update is they're just adding little pop-ups for items in the trial when there's like specific items you use against specific killers, like the EMPs, the vaccines, the spray for Wesker, any of that stuff. I guess it's just gonna like give you a rundown of what it does, which should be helpful for newer players. Obviously, those of us who have thousands of hours, we already know, but this is still a good idea. I think especially for newer players who are coming in and there's all these different ways you have to counter every killer. I think this will probably be very helpful. I think this is actually a really good idea. Something I never even thought would be necessary because I've played the game so much. But for newer players, this is good. And that about wraps things up for this developer update. Some massive stuff in there. Obviously, I'm most excited about the Bubba Buffs. Very excited for my boy. I was not expecting this, so I'm happy about that. But I'm also just kind of excited for another meta shakeup. Regardless of what happens, I'm just, as somebody who plays the game a lot, I'm excited for something new, like a fresh feeling. Plus, we have the new chapter around the corner, so there's going to be a new killer, new perks, all that stuff to go along with this sort of meta shakeup. But let me know what you guys think of everything. I'm sure all of you guys have very different thoughts and very different opinions, and I'm sure a lot of you guys disagree with my takes on this, and that's totally fine. Just, again, remember, these are all just opinions about a video game, so don't fucking rip each other apart. It's really not that big of a deal. We're all entitled to our opinions. And yeah, I guess this will probably be on the PTB. Yeah, it says that. And the PTB is next Tuesday. So May 14th, I believe. And that's the same day as the anniversary stream and the reveal of the new chapter. And I think the PTB for the new chapter, right? I think. So a lot of stuff next week. Next week is exciting. So feels good. New content is good. DVDs felt kind of stale lately. I'm sure we all agree. I think I'm just kind of rambling at this point. So bye.